As we saw yesterday, the Indiana Fever got smacked, got beat down by the New York Liberty, and just crazy how it was even conversations about how the Indiana Fever were a better basketball team without Caitlin Clark. And this also brings into the conversation for us what's going to happen with Caitlin Clark because she did miss the game against the Liberty, and everybody kind of expected her to miss the game. She was questionable throughout the day. Then they downgraded her, and now she's listed as day to day. And we know the All-Star festivities starts tomorrow for it's a three-point shooting contest, which is the biggest thing for the WNBA and the biggest event. And so it's supposedly going to feature Caitlin Clark. But if Caitlin Clark is not 100% right. What do the Indiana Fever do? What do the WNBA do? Because the fact of the matter is, you don't want Caitlin Clark to be playing, even if it's the All-Star game, even if it's a three-point contest. You don't want her to be out there playing when she probably doesn't need to be. And I know it's a big moment for the WNBA. I know it's a big moment for basketball, the basketball community in general. But at the same time, if you're Caitlin Clark fans, if you're Indiana Fever fans, if you're just the team, the organization of the Indiana Fever, what do? You have to make the call that's going to best suit Caitlin Clark going forward. Because what happens is, let's say she plays on the All-Star game and she goes out there even for 5 minutes and then she tweaks her groin again. And then now she's already tweaked it in the game in the last minutes of the game versus the Golden State Valkyrie. So do you risk putting her out there and playing the All-Star game just for the fact that it's in Indiana? Do you do that? And we know the three-point contest, even though it's just like everything is stationary, she's still got to move and come off screens and you can get shot up across. It's not like somebody's just passing her, catching and shooting. She's going to station. So what do you do if you're the Indiana Fever? What do you do if you're the WNBA? Because this is the biggest event and you've been marketing it. This is the All-Star game is in the state of Indiana. We know what that's going to bring. This is Caitlin Clark's team. This is Caitlin Clark's league for it's just like the popularity. This is a big question mark for the WNBA. It's a big question mark for the Indiana Fever. What do you do regarding Caitlin Clark with her injury? Because if you're the Indiana Fever, you have to think long term. You have to think about, you can't just think short term. If you're the Indiana Fever, if you are the WNBA, you have to think long term for it's Caitlin Clark's for this season, also her career. We seen Lisa Leslie come out and basically state that she suffered a groin injury and how it affected her for the entirety of her career. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Caitlin Clark, but at the same time, groin injuries, thigh injuries are very tricky. Anything that has to do with the leg, especially when you are a shooter and you have to gather lift off your jump shot, then it's very, very hard. So I don't know. Let's listen to what Lisa Leslie said about her regarding her injury, because it is very different having a groin injury. Let's go.
Clark, because I actually had that injury 2006. And listen, I was heavily taped around my thigh, around my glute, just trying to make sure there was enough pressure to hold that groin. And the hard part is that the groin is sort of an area that you can't just touch and go, oh, it hurts right here. You feel it deep. You have to get a lot of deep treatment, whether it's ice and heat and rest. Well, can Caitlin Clark, she can't find a lot of rest right now because she's mid-season.
Exactly. So this is an injury where we saw when LeBron James suffered with the Los Angeles Lakers for his groin injury, and he was out like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then he came back for to gear up towards the end of the regular season into the postseason. But this is an injury. I've had a thigh injury where in high school I missed the last 5 games of the regular season, and it wasn't until the off season where I got to fully recover because I got the rest that I need. Like Lisa Leslie said, she can't. Her and the Indiana Fever can't afford to do that because the season is so short. We're at the halfway point of the season, and the Indiana Fever are gearing up for a playoff push, but you have to do what's best for the player. Sometimes Caitlin Clark, we know she's emotional. We know that she plays with a lot of passion, but you have to protect players from themselves sometimes, because even if she can get medically cleared, she was medically cleared before she came back with the previous injury. She got medically cleared, but you can tell that like her shot is not there, her lift is not there. All this is affecting with the lower leg injuries that she's been having over the course of this season. And I'm not making excuses because she's still been playing bad as well. But at the same time, injuries do affect your play.
But I think that injury is really tough because it lingers. No matter how much medicine you take, you can feel fine. You get back out there, one move, one change of direction, and boom, you're right back feeling that same type of pain. So it's going to be a tough injury that she's going to have to manage.
How long did it take you to recover from?
To be honest, Tracy, I play tennis and I can still feel that injury linger because I don't know that it ever really goes away. You just learn to manage and play with it, which could also lead to why her numbers are down. Listen, the logo shoots the longest distance out there in the WNBA consistently, and that's going to take away from her lift, whether she's shooting three-point range or even further out. I remember struggling all season long in 2006 with that injury.
Wow. AJ, how will this affect the Fever going forward?
Well, as Coach White mentioned, this is a team that has experience playing without Clark on the floor, and they have a lot of depth, right? So it's going to be something where the players are going to have to step up. Ari McDonald, Lexi Hall, Liam Boston. You know, this is a team that has proven, even with the Commissioner's Cup championship, that they can beat really top-tier teams. The Minnesota Lynx arguably could be back in the WNBA finals this year, and the fact that they were able to beat a team of that caliber without Caitlin Clark speaks volumes.
So, and that's what I was just mentioning before Lisa Leslie mentioned it. She talked about how the lift, the distance, like lower leg injuries when you're a shooter, specifically when you're a guard, where if you're changing direction, that's the thing that the Indiana Fever have to worry about, because even if you look at the play when Caitlin Clark got hurt, she wasn't doing anything but passing the ball, and she made a wrong little step, and she retweaked her groin. So this is an injury where you have to be, it's very delicate. It's had to be taken very, very seriously. You want to proceed with caution because you want to get her the rest that she needs, regardless of the All-Star weekend in Indiana. It's going to be plenty of All-Star games that the WNBA are going to have and that Caitlin Clark is going to participate in. It may not be in the state of Indiana, of course, but at the same time, you got to do what's best for Caitlin Clark in the long term and not just the short term. And I believe in the long term, that is sitting Caitlin Clark down for the next 2 to 3 weeks, hoping that you have a team with the Indiana Fever that has won big games. You have a team with the Indiana Fever that has lost games that they shouldn't have lost. You have a team basically that is capable of winning games without Caitlin Clark, even though they're a better team with Caitlin Clark because she is their best player. But you have a team that is getting comfortable with playing without Caitlin Clark, because they've been playing without Caitlin Clark this entire season. Caitlin Clark has missed 10 games and counting. So Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, that's what Natasha Howard, you brought her on forward. That's what you brought Sophia Cunningham on. You got Lexi Hall. You got Ari McDonald, who has been a great addition for the Indiana Fever. You got players that can go out and win games and can maintain the momentum that you have without Caitlin Clark and can hold down the fort. Will they be dominating? No. Will they be a team that can level, that can be around 500 without Caitlin Clark? Yes, they can. They were 4-5 without her. So I think that's, 4-6 without her because they just lost to the New York Liberty. But at the same time, they're hovering around 500 without Caitlin Clark. The WNBA right now is a bunch of mid to bad teams this season. Nobody has been great other than, I want to say, the Mercury and the Minnesota Lynx. That's it, to be honest. For like the top tier teams are those two teams right now. And then the Storm, which can be up and down. And then you got the Atlanta Dream, which has been very, very great this year. They're 12-9 right now, and they're fighting to potentially have home court advantage in the playoffs. But this season, it's been a bunch of mid to bad teams. So if the Indiana Fever playing without Caitlin Clark for 2 to 3 weeks. And that's not what you want to do. But at the same time, if that's what it's going to take to get Caitlin Clark healthy enough where she can contribute in the playoffs where it matters the most, and also you can make sure that she is fully right and not just clearing her off of, oh, I don't feel anything right now. Let's go. Let's work. Let's figure it out. That may not be what you want to do, because you would hate for her to suffer another injury and then now she's out for the rest of the season and has to recover for the entire year, and then she's missing time for her individual workouts and her training going into her third season. That's the worst possible thing that could happen. Knock on wood, we don't want that to happen, but we've seen when players keep having injuries. This is Caitlin Clark's third time this year she's been injured or out with some type of injury, with a leg injury. You want to be very, very delicate in the situation, which brings me to, like Lisa Leslie mentioned, that's part of the reason why her numbers are down. Her shooting's not there. Her lift is not there. Her trust in her body is not there. And even though her numbers are down, she's still been, I want to say, one of the best players still in the WNBA, given the current circumstances. Is she what she was last year in her rookie season? No, she is not. But is she still one of the best basketball players in the WNBA? Yes, she is, even with her numbers, because if you look at a lot of the guards, other than Alicia Gray, like a lot of the guards, shooting percentage is down. Like this has been when you really look at the details and you really look at the stats, this has been a very down year for all of players. It's a bunch of mid teams and bad teams in the WNBA, and that is a problem right now. Which leads me to kind of want to talk about, for us, the All-Star Game. Who are the top 12 players out of the 22 players that are selected? That's what I want to know. For us, like, we know the best players are selected in the All-Star Game for this regular season, because there's players that aren't selected that may be having down years, may just not be playing up to the standards that they are accustomed to playing this year, but they are, to me, still legitimate top 12 players in the WNBA, even though they're not playing like it this year. Enrique, for example, has been playing horrible this year. She's been absolutely horrible. But overall, most people would consider Enrique a top 12 basketball player overall. So when I mention this list and when I talk about this list, we're talking about the best basketball players in the world right now at the All-Star Game, who has been the best 12 basketball players this year. This is not overall. So when I'm talking about this list, I want to keep prefacing that this is not overall. We're not talking about overall. We're not talking about who, when you factor in everything, contribution, eye test, stats, production, team wins, like we're talking about everything. We're just specifically talking about this year in this All-Star Game. Who are the top 12 players at this All-Star Game right now for this year? First and foremost, I think Nefessa Collar. I think she has to be considered number one. She's been the best player for the WNBA, the most consistent player for the WNBA this season. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. She has Minnesota looking like the favorites to go out and to capture a WNBA championship. And her points, her assists, and her blocks are all up, and she's a two-way player. She's a two-way stud. Number 2 is still, to me personally, A'ja Wilson, and it's crazy to say that because A'ja Wilson, by her standards, is having a down year. But when we know A'ja Wilson, her motor, she has a motor that is unquestioned, a motor that is just different than everybody else in the WNBA. And when she gets it going, she's literally unstoppable. And I'm saying that she's probably overall still the best basketball player in the WNBA. But this year, I'm still saying so far it's Nefessa Collar, and I still have A'ja Wilson at number 2, even though this has been a down year. We're talking about 21.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.6 steals, and 2.4 blocks. This is a down year for A'ja Wilson. These numbers are career best for a lot of players. So, and her field goal percentage has dropped below 50% for the first time since 2021. So once again, this is a down year, and I'm still saying A'ja Wilson is the number 2 best player in the world right now. And, for this ranking for the All-Star game. And then for the top 12, she's 2 out of the top 12. Her motor is unmatched. Breanna Stewart's number 3, still one of the most versatile bigs in the WNBA. She plays both sides of the basketball. A little concerning that her three-point shot has been atrocious this year, and she's just shooting 21% from the three. And we know she used to be one of the best snipers from distance, but her rebounding and scoring numbers are also down as well. But once again, this year I've been saying it's been a very mid to bad year, mid teams and bad teams this year. And all the players have really, their field goal percentage is down, and the numbers are down in comparison to what we've grown accustomed to seeing. So that's why when people talk about like Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark's numbers are down, but Caitlin Clark is also battling injuries. There's a lot of players that are numbers are down that aren't battling injuries and that are fully healthy, that are we still ranking like I'm doing right now in the top 3 and the top 5. Alyssa Thomas, a true point forward. I've never been so high on Alyssa Thomas' overall play style, the way she plays the game, but you cannot deny her impact. She's averaging 15 points, 9 assists, leading the league in assists, 7.4 rebounds. She's flirting with a triple-double. Now, her scoring output is not going to be as impressive as those 3 wings and forwards I named above her, Nafessa Kala, A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, but Alyssa Thomas impacts the ways that they can't necessarily impact the game the way that she can. She is a legitimate point forward. She does a lot of great things on the basketball court. She's coming in number 4 on my list. Number 5, Alicia Gray, baby, from Atlanta. This is her best season. She's cooking this year. The Atlanta Dream will be a title contender in the next 2 years. Mark my words. I keep telling folks, do not sleep on the Dream. They got dogs on their team. Ryan Howard, who was selected to All-Star game, even though Caleb McBride is taking her place because she's hurt. Once Ryan Howard becomes consistent and becomes, I believe, a 20-point scorer in this league, you're really about to see like the Atlanta Dream really take off. But Alyssa Gray, she's hooping. She's hooping. 18 points this year, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, career highs, and she's a marksman. She gets it going. She's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. She is very, very special. She's the offensive engine for the Atlanta Dream. Number 6, Sabrina Ionescu, the best combo guard in the WNBA. Sabrina Ionescu is averaging similar numbers that she did last year, but her efficiency has dropped. This is another player when we're talking about overall efficiency and field goal percentage. When we've been talking about this year, particularly in WNBA, a lot of players' field goal percentage is not what we're used to seeing. But Sabrina Ionescu, when she gets it going, she's still dominant. She can score a variety of ways, every level on the basketball court. And I still believe that one of these seasons, Sabrina Ionescu is going to put up an MVP caliber season because she has, to me, probably the best all-around game for a guard. She's the best combo guard in the WNBA. She's coming at number 6 on my list. Number 7, Sal 2, thriving with the Phoenix Mercury. It seems like every time somebody leaves Dallas, they start thriving. But 19 points, 7 rebounds, two-way player, one of the best defenders in the WNBA. She's growing in a lot of ways this year. She's thriving with the Phoenix Mercury. Some will argue that she is the best player on the Phoenix Mercury over Alyssa Thomas, even though I had Alyssa Thomas ranked in the top 5. Number 8, Skylar Diggins, a real vet. Skylar Diggins is in her 12th season, and she's still getting better. She's improving on her 3-point numbers, and that's over the course of her career. This year, she's shooting 40% from the 3-point line, averaging 18 points this year, 6 assists. Like, she is a true point guard, and she plays both sides of the basketball court. She is the heart and soul of the Seattle Storm. Number 9. This is where things get a little tricky, this 9 to 12th range. Because part of me, well, actually, let's just get into it. Number 9, I'm going to say Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum is going crazy right now with the LA Sparks. She is their best player. She is their most consistent offensive weapon that they have. She's averaging 20 points, career high in assists. One of the biggest concerns with her going to play in Los Angeles is that who was going to be the point guard, because she's not traditionally a point guard, but she has improved on her passing, improved on her playmaking. She's averaging career high assists with like 5.8 assists this year and still getting done offensively with 20 points per game. She's still one of the best three-point shooters in the WNBA. I like what I'm seeing with her. I just don't understand why the LA Sparks aren't better than what they are. In a lot of games, you watch the LA Sparks, they're in games with some of the best teams in the league, and then they just fall off in the second half of those games. So that's the only thing. Cameron Brink is supposed to coming back. Maybe that's going to help the team defensively, but I just feel like the LA Sparks should be better. So I had Kelsey Plum at number 9. This is where things get tricky because we got players that I feel like are having a better season than some of the players that I'm about to mention. But at the same time, they're not the best player on their team, even though they're having a better season. So this one we're talking about when we're getting down to number 10 on my list. It's like a lot of people are going to talk about Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever, and they're going to talk about Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark. They're going to say that Caitlin Clark is having a down year. Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell has been more consistent than Caitlin Clark this year, whether that's due to injuries, whether that's just, on the basketball court production. So coming at number 10 on my list, I'm going to say, first of all, it's not even one of those three. First, I'm going to say Oneke from the Storm. She's in her 14th season, I believe. And she's improving. She's shooting more three-point attempts. They're up to 3 attempts per game, 36% for the field this year, averaging 17 and 8, still a force in the interior, like shooting 81% under the basket. She is the most underrated MVP probably in WNBA history. When people talk about the WMVPs, when people talk about all the legends in the game, they don't really give Oneke credit, to be honest. But she and Skylar Diggins are some of the best vets in the WNBA, and they're still getting it done. So she's coming at number 10 on my list. So for my 10, so we had Nefessa Collar, we had Aja Wilson, we got Brianna Stewart, Alyssa Thomas, Alicia Gray, Sabrina Escu, Sal Tu, Skylar Diggins, Kelsey Plum, and Oneke. Now, these last two spots, this is where things get tricky, because when we're talking about the best players at the All-Star game, the best 12 players at the All-Star game, we're not talking about overall. We're talking about this year. And it's not what fans think. It's not what the media thinks. It's based on like what we're seeing with our eyes and what we've been noticing and what's been going on. So, number 11, Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell is the best pure hooper in the WNBA. She's like 3rd overall in points per game this year. I think she's top 3 or top 4, 19 points this season. She's shooting the ball very well as a late. She gets to the rim, knows how to cut, plays off ball. She has been phenomenal for the Indiana Fever. She has been consistent for the Indiana Fever. She right now has been the best player on the Indiana Fever for this season, even though she's not the best player overall. And the thing about it is, I was having a hard time juggling at this 11th spot. Do I put Kelsey Mitchell? Do I put Aaliyah Boston? Or do I put Caitlin Clark? Because the Indiana Fever are 4-6 without Caitlin Clark. So even Caitlin Clark in a down year, 16 points, 8 assists, injuries, missed 10 games. The Indiana Fever need their best player, and they're struggling without their best player. They're 4-6 without her. So that's the biggest question. Is like, we look at best players this year for how they're playing. Caitlin Clark hasn't played well. For the top 12 basketball players for the All-Star game, Caitlin Clark is probably not on this list as the top 12 best basketball players at the All-Star game or best basketball players right now in the WNBA. And she has unmatched potential. She's the face of the league for its marketability. We know what her game brings. We know what she is able and capable of doing when she is healthy. But at the same time, I do not know if Caitlin Clark is a top 12 basketball player in the world for the WNBA side. So that's why I have Kelsey Mitchell at number 11. And then number 12, you have Aaliyah Boston, you have Caitlin Clark, you have Angel Reese. These are the last 3 players I feel like for the 12th spot that you can all basically have a case for. Aaliyah Boston's averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 59% from the field. She's been very impactful. She's taken a leap this year. I feel like the Indiana Fever need to run more offense for Aaliyah Boston and run the offense through her. Then you got Caitlin Clark, 16 points, 8 assists this year, but she's shooting 37% from the field, 29% from the three-point line. But when we talk about the numbers and we talk about all these players and their field goal percentage, a lot of the players I ranked higher than Caitlin Clark, their field goal percentage is down as well. And some of the players that we are talking about having career highs and career seasons, that was Caitlin Clark's last year's rookie season. So that's something to factor in. But for my number 12 spot, I have to give it to Angel Reese. Angel Reese is leading her team in points, rebounds, and assists, averaging 14 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists this year, shooting 44% from the field. She's doing a much better job playing as a dual forward than playing as a small ball 5. She has the tools to be a Alyssa Thomas disciple. That's what she is. She is a Alyssa Thomas disciple. It has the tools to probably even be better than Alyssa Thomas due to the fact that she has a little bit more flair to her game. It has the potential to continue to improve her ball handling, but she also has a motor that to me is similar to Aja Wilson. Like a motor that's just kind of like that dog in you, that like the energy, the tenacity, the aggression on the basketball court, like the hustle. Like when you have your best player have a motor, have a gear, and plus their game is also great as well, the sky's the limit. We're talking about Angel Reese. For all the hate, for all the conversations, for all people talking about this and that, Angel Reese has the potential one day to be a top 5 to 8 basketball player in the WNBA. And possibly even once they figure out the team situation, she could probably be an MVP conversation. And I know she started off playing bad this year, but there's a lot of players that start off playing this bad this year and have came on towards the last 3 weeks. Like Kelsey Mitchell wasn't playing as great. So, but I'm looking at Angel Reese. She has to be mentioned as a top 12 basketball player as of right now. And for it's a 12 out of the 22 basketball players for the All-Star game, you have to mention, I believe, Angel Reese. I definitely think she's included in that, even over Aaliyah Boston, who is averaging better field goal percentage, and over Caitlin Clark, who's averaging 16 and 8 in a down year due to injuries, but also her shooting percentages, even prior to her getting hurt again, hasn't been great as well. So those are my top 12. I definitely have to say these are my top 12, and I feel comfortable about that. Now, this is not my best players overall, because my best players overall list will look a lot different because it's based on everything that you bring. But for my top 12, I'm okay with that. Let's see. Last groin injury took 3 weeks games for her. Do you think any difference with this injury? Yeah, I feel like hold on, my chart. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. I feel like to be honest, you got to keep. I mentioned it early in the stream. See, and thanks for hopping in the chat. I feel like you got to keep Caitlin Clark out until she's fully healthy or close enough healthy. So maybe take her out 2-3 more weeks, to be honest. I feel like you want to have Caitlin Clark healthy because you don't want to get into a thing where she comes back and she gets hurt again and now she's out for the rest of the season. She needs to stay out 2 to 3 weeks. And if you believe in Aaliyah Boston, you believe in Kelsey Mitchell, and they've won big games without Caitlin Clark. They also lost terrible games without Caitlin Clark. They're 4-6 without her. But this has been a season where a lot of the WNBA teams are mid and below average. So teams that's going to make the playoffs that probably shouldn't make the playoffs. So the Indian Fever have enough to sustain while Caitlin Clark is out and to play 500 basketball and to make the playoffs without, having to rush Caitlin Clark back or just being concerned about Caitlin Clark being on the basketball court. I think they will be okay. So if it takes Caitlin Clark to be out 2 to 3 weeks, and we know we have a short season with the WNBA, but if Caitlin Clark can come back in the middle of, let's say, middle of August, I'm going to say, the Indian Fever should be good. So you got 2 weeks left in June, 2 weeks in August. That's 4 weeks. Have Caitlin Clark out for a month. Now, you have to protect players from themselves. Now, I'm not Caitlin Clark. So if the Indian Fever go to her and say, like, we want to keep you out for a month to make sure everything is right, she's listed as day-to-day right now. She was listed as questionable yesterday, then upgraded to downgraded to out, basically. So now she's listed as day-to-day. But we don't know what day-to-day means. Day-to-day means that she's going to participate in all the All-Star events. She's going to be good to go next week. Day-to-day means like whenever the staff feels like she is ready to play. So I do not know. But if I'm the Indian Fever organization, I'm keeping her out again until she's 100% healthy and not feeling any type of pain. So it's Stephanie White's not a good coach, and CT other team's not good, and it's 23 points away from top teams like Liberty and Lakes. It's bad. Yeah, I mean, it's also Stephanie White has to adjust her coaching because we have seen Stephanie White adjust her coaching for an offensive standpoint with Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Ho, Sophia Cunningham, where it's more ball movement and player movement. But when Caitlin Clark comes back, it's kind of like the Caitlin Clark show. So how do you incorporate two systems that's going to allow players to thrive in ball movement and also allow Caitlin Clark to get easier open looks as well and not have to do everything on the basketball court? Caitlin Clark is bringing the ball up. They're face guarding her 90 feet. They're pressuring her 90 feet. And I don't see screens coming at the back end. I don't see other players dribbling the ball up the court ever. Ari McDonald is a point guard on your team. Ari McDonald can handle the ball, can take some pressure, ball handling responsibility off of Caitlin Clark. You have to utilize her a little bit more in the backcourt and not just allow Caitlin Clark to have to do everything. That's something Stephanie White has to incorporate as well and say, yo, Caitlin Clark, we're getting you off the ball. We're going to get you off the ball. Even though Caitlin Clark is better on the ball, she's like a Trae Young. She's a Trae Young disciple. On the ball, passing, vision, playmaking, shot-making ability. But the difference between Caitlin Clark and Trae Young is that Trae Young knows how to get to the rim and utilizes his floater. Caitlin Clark still has a lot of areas that she has to improve on her game, especially when she's getting pressure, because she constantly gets pressure, but sometimes even when she gets to switch from a small to a big, she's wants to get into that step back when she needs to really get to that rim and get to that floater or get to all the way to the cup. And sometimes she doesn't do that. So we'll see. So it's going to be interesting to see. Definitely gonna be interesting to see the things that FIBA can divide the team into 2 sub team, 1 fast team, 1 slow team, and that's the key. And that's what I'm saying. That is the key. But also, how do we also running your offense through Aaliyah Boston as well when Caitlin Clark is playing and when Caitlin Clark is not playing, because Aaliyah Boston is so lethal in the post. She shoots 59% in the post. Aaliyah Boston, you're running your Aaliyah Boston is one of the best passing, if not the best passing big in the WNBA in the post, especially when you get her in the post entry. So if you're running post offense through Aaliyah Boston and you having Caitlin Clark come off pin downs, come off screens, playing off the ball, you either utilize her as a decoy. You can either hit Caitlin Clark for open shots, utilize her as a decoy, and then find an open man and have somebody do back cuts. It's all different types of offensive sets and a motion offense that you can run with playing in the post and playing off Aaliyah Boston, or just having more player and ball movement in general that Stephanie White hasn't been able to figure out. It's like it's 2 different types of offense when Caitlin Clark is on and when she's not on. And that's a problem when you have to figure out one offense that the entire team can use that can be their legit system. And then when things break down, you still got Caitlin Clark, who's electric, who can score in a variety of ways, who can hit you from the logo, and then Kelsey Mitchell, who can create and get separation, and Leah Boston, who can play one-on-one and go to work with any post defender in the league. So it's definitely some issues with the offense that Stephanie White that I'm not surprised with, because the thing about Stephanie White is she's never been an offensive coach. Even with her time in the Connecticut Sun, when she had DeWanna Bowder, Alyssa Thomas, Brianna Jones, like that was a half-court offensive team that played very slow. They're very great defensively. If they score 50 to 60 points and they win, that's a good day for the Connecticut Sun. That was her team. That was the culture. Like, she's a defensive-minded head coach first. But the problem is, if the Indiana Fever aren't really necessarily improving defensively, then how's that, and then the offense is not really there. So it's just like, it's so many things that it's been very questionable this year with Stephanie White. But I will say that she has been a great coach for Caitlin Clark, keeping her, like, Caitlin Clark listens to her. Like, Caitlin Clark wasn't listening to her last coach. So building that relationship, having that relationship with Caitlin Clark is something that the organization wanted, and having a coach that Caitlin Clark is going to listen to, because Stephanie White is a champion. She is one of the best coaches in the league, but Stephanie White has to figure out this year's team. And it's not going to happen overnight. Hopefully by the postseason, things will be more fluid, or over the course of her tenure with Caitlin Clark, because this is a young team, and Caitlin Clark is also going to grow in a lot of ways and have to improve in a lot of ways. And she's going to have to figure out what is the best way to utilize Caitlin Clark in order for her to have a offense that has some structure, but also allowing Caitlin Clark to have that freedom and that flow as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen going forward with the Indiana Fever. But I'm the Fever. I'm resting Caitlin Clark for a month and trusting in my team that's won the Commissioner's Cup without Caitlin Clark, beat Los. I think they beat some good teams without Caitlin Clark, but they also lost some bad teams without Caitlin Clark. You just gotta trust your team at the end of the day. But it's your boy Mike Smith. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on all the social media platforms. A-Kiss NBA, talking about the WNBA and talking about the NBA. Of course, always remember, faith without works is dead. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not onto your understanding, and always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. I appreciate y'all hopping in the chat. All my truth tellers. I'm gone, man. Peace.